Howdy folks, my name is Teri and today we are making trees. I am so excited to share this tutorial with you because A, trees are really expensive and I was wanting to make some cherry blossom trees, and B, frickin' crazy colored flock is crazy expensive. And like, I think the smallest quantity of pink flock I could find online was like 2.5 pounds, and then shipping it to Canada was like a crazy pain. I thought, there's gotta be a better solution. So I have come up with a method to show you how to make trees like these. I made a cherry blossom one because I wanted to show you how to create the flock and make trees with leaves in whatever heck color you want, and just like trees like this. So these are super simple. They cost nothing to make. Like, I think when I did the math, I thought if I glued nickels on the bases, the base would cost more than the actual cost of the tree materials themselves. So this is a way to make an entire forest of trees for less than the cost of like a package of 3 at any hobby store. So we're gonna cover that today. If you're ready for the tutorial, all you're gonna need is some sawdust and some aluminum foil. So here we go. So to start off, we are going to color some sawdust to turn it into flock. It's pretty easy. You mix some paint with some water and then you mix some sawdust into that. The ratio I'm using is 3:1 water to sawdust, and then putting in a pretty substantial amount of paint. That 3:1 ratio for me works out to 1 teaspoon of water for 1 tablespoon of sawdust. I'm not making a very big batch, but I'm sure you could scale this up as well if you want to make a lot of this flock. And you can do it in whatever color you want. The step is basically take some water, take some paint, mix them together so they're kind of evenly dispersed. I'm using model paint, so I'm not using as much because it's really pigmented, but if you're using like an acrylic craft paint, you might want to use more paint than I'm using here. And then mix in your sawdust and mix that up. Once it's all mixed up, lay it out flat to dry. When it's all dried, this is what it's going to look like, so it's perfect for use. Now we are going to make our trees, and we're going to use aluminum foil for this. It's actually shockingly easy. You take a big sheet of aluminum foil. I'm using about 18 inches or so. I'm folding it up a little bit so it has a little more substance to it, and then I'm rolling it and crunching it as I go. I'm twisting it and I'm shaping it as I split it off. Now, as it's getting bulky towards the top where the branches would branch out, for lack of a better term, I'm just going to take some clippers, I'm going to clip through and then twist those and squeeze those together. As I'm doing this, I'm not squishing it compactly at first. As I get to the tips, that's when I'm really kind of compacting the tinfoil down and shaping it. It's really easy, and you can get a really basic structure to your tree this way. Once you've got like the trunk and the first main branches out, you can then add additional branches using smaller strips of tinfoil. Again, doing the same thing. Now, what I'm doing is I'm taking the end of the tinfoil and kind of crunching it a little bit and wrapping it around kind of the base and the trunk and the branches where I'm going to add these branches to. And then I'm twisting off the end part of the tinfoil. Again, folding it first and then twisting it up. And then once I've kind of got it to a place where I'm happy with it, I glue that tinfoil down to the base structure. It goes pretty quickly, and if you're wrapping that base attaching tinfoil on and you're using some glue, it's not going to budge. Once I've got the tinfoil structures down, now this step is completely optional. I didn't do it on one tree because I wanted it to look dead. I decided to add some wire branches, some really thin spindly branches, and what I had for wire was old Christmas tree ornament hooks, but you can use floral wire, you can use like the thin pinning stuff, rods, whatever you have on hand, or better yet, like paper clips. Anything you have that can give you shape, that's what you're looking for. So that's what I'm using here, is I'm using some wire that I have on hand, and what I'm doing is I'm poking a hole in where I want the branches to come off, and then I'm using a really sharp pair of tweezers, but you can use like a pin or something, even a drill bit even, and putting that in, shaping it, and then gluing it down. It's pretty straightforward, and add as many branches or as few branches as you feel. Now, once you've got the structure of your trees and branches at a point where you're quite happy with it, now's when you want to glue seal this down. I'm going to use equal parts-ish of glue and water. I'm adding some paint into it just so I can see where I'm applying this wash. The point of this wash is you're going to actually make a lot, and you're going to use more than you think. The capillary action of the water and the glue is actually going to pull that glue wash up into all the cracks and crevices within the tin foil, and in your structure it's going to harden and dry in there and make it a little stiffer and a little more resilient. So you want to make sure you give it a couple coats of this glue seal. That first coat should be pretty heavy because it'll actually absorb in, and as you go and as you're noticing this absorbing into the tree, it'll work. And then you just make sure it dries completely before you hit it with primer. Now I used black because that's what I had in hand, but if you've already got like a brown on hand to prime it, use that and you're ready to go. The final finishing steps are really straightforward. I'm painting my tree brown just so that it looks like a tree, and then I'm going to dry brush it with some ivory, again pulling out that texture. It's a really organic texture on the trunk. Once that's done, I am going to glue the flock on. Now I'm going to put the glue on the topmost branches, and I'm going to do a couple layers of this. So I'm going to put straight white glue onto the tips of the branches. I'm going to add in the flock and sprinkle it on and make sure it's all covered. I'm going to let that dry a little bit, and then I'm going to do another coat just so I can bulk out the leaves a little bit. And that is it. You are done. For a tree that costs pennies in materials, you can do an entire forest to cover a table, and you'll be out maybe a couple bucks for a roll of aluminum foil. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions at all. But yeah, show me pictures, send them to me on social media. I'm really excited to see what you guys do with this craft. Thanks for watching. Thank you so much to my patrons on Patreon who even now were really patient with me because this video took a lot longer than I thought it would. So thank you to them, and until next time, I will see you soon.